Dirty, hard, and low-paying. You're still single because you're stuck in such a terrible job. Maybe if you had better looks, things would be different. Now you're just a pitiful old maid. Poor you. My ex-boyfriend said this with a smirk. Why are people who can only look down on others so ugly? It seemed unbelievable that this man, who once attracted attention for his good looks, now appeared so distorted in front of me. Forgetting all the dedication I had given him, he humiliated me in public. My anger had reached its limit, and I was about to explode. My name is Hannah. I have been working as a nurse since graduating from nursing school. It's a very demanding job, but it is also fulfilling, and I enjoyed my busy life. One day, a friend from school invited me to a mixer. At the time, I wasn't very interested in romance, but since it was at a restaurant I had wanted to try, I immediately agreed. Even someone like me, more interested in food than romance, couldn't help but be captivated by one of the handsome guys there. That was Tyler. Embarrassingly, I had never really dated anyone seriously by that age, so I was quite naive and could only glance at him from afar. Despite this, he actively approached me. Every time he praised me with comments like a "you're cute" or a "you're a nurse." That's awesome, I became completely smitten. By the end of the event, when we exchanged contact information, I was already head over heels for him. But back then, I couldn't muster the courage to contact him first. He didn't message me either. I thought I would just cherish that day as a nice memory. But a while later, out of the blue, he contacted me saying, "Hey. It's been a while. Want to go out sometime?" Normally, I would be surprised and probably refuse a sudden invitation from someone I hadn't heard from since our first meeting. But for me, who couldn't forget him, it felt like a stroke of luck, and I quickly replied, "Of course." From there, we quickly started going on dates, and within a month, he confessed his feelings. Being completely in love with him, I had no reason to refuse, and soon we started living together, considering marriage. Wait, you're still a college student? Shortly after we started living together, his shocking revelation left me wide-eyed. Despite being the same age as me, he was still in college, having repeated years after taking a gap year. I had assumed he was working in IT because he spoke so confidently about it, but it turned out he was still a student, frequently repeating years. While I worried about our future, he laughed it off. "Don't worry. I'll work once I graduate. I'm in an entrepreneurship activity. If our current project succeeds, we'll be rich in no time. Until then, let's work together on this." Work together? Yeah, since I'm not earning yet. I need you to handle the living expenses. In return, I'll take care of the house. Got it. I love living with you, so I'll do my best. And so began our cohabitation. I worked tirelessly to support our life together, which I cherished deeply. But he often found excuses and rarely did any housework, leaving it all to me. At first, I wanted to complain. But every time I did a chore, he would say, "Thanks for doing this even though you're tired from work," and then gently hug me. And I would melt all over again. After that, I devoted myself to him even more. Even when he said things like, "I don't like this flavor. I prefer it sweeter," or "make sure to clean properly. Nobody likes a dirty house." I would just laugh it off with a "sorry about that." I bottled up my frustrations, not wanting to break up with him. After all, he was working hard for our future through his entrepreneurship activity. "Are you staying out late again tonight?" "Yeah, we need to improve our quality to attract big companies." Even on weekends, he worked hard for our happiness. A year passed as I prayed for his success and supported him as best as I could. "Let's break up. I've found someone else I like." His unexpected words made my head spin. I couldn't accept it as reality. "Wait, what do you mean?" "It means exactly what I said. It's partly your fault too. Since we started living together, you've become more and more careless with your makeup and hair. I can't see you as a woman anymore." He coldly dismissed me while silently packing his things. "But the reason I don't have time for myself is because you don't help with anything. Blaming on others, huh? That's pathetic." He spat it out and left the house, leaving me behind in a state of despair. It all happened so quickly. The room that was once filled with memories of us now seemed empty, and I couldn't get over losing him. I don't know how much time passed. As it started getting dark outside, I slowly got up and turned on the TV. I looked at the screen in the darkness and was left speechless. There he was. He had succeeded with his startup company and was being featured on a TV show as a college entrepreneur. I owe it all to the support of everyone, especially my girlfriend, who stood by me through everything. What? Next to him was a woman. According to the show, she was the daughter of a CEO from a well-known company. Wait. I was the one who supported him through everything. Actually, we're engaged now. I proposed marriage to her recently. The studio buzzed with excitement at his announcement. The CEO's daughter showed off her beautiful ring. I never received even a cheap accessory from him because he always claimed he had no money. Even in my blind love for him, I understood. He dumped me as soon as his startup company succeeded and chose the CEO's daughter instead. Seeing him smiling triumphantly on the screen, my remaining feelings for him vanished completely. All that was left was disgust. Who's the pathetic one here? In a desperate attempt at revenge, I told the media the truth, but when asked for proof, I couldn't provide any. He had taken all the personal belongings and photos with him. The apartment was in my name, and although we were considering marriage, he never actually proposed, so it wasn't public knowledge. With no evidence of our relationship, no one took my story seriously, and I channeled my anger into my work. A while later, I heard through the grapevine that they had a lavish wedding. I didn't care anymore. About 10 years had passed since we broke up, and I was 35 and still working hard at my job. I had no complaints about my work, but my personal life was a bit depressing. Having developed a slight aversion to marriage, I couldn't commit, even when I had a boyfriend, leading to repeated breakups. Meanwhile, my peers and friends married early and many had children. My parents, worried that I had missed my chance, constantly pressured me to go on arranged dates whenever I visited home. Relatives treated me like a fragile object, making it increasingly uncomfortable to return to my hometown. Throughout it all, my younger sister, Mary, remained the same. Mary, 5 years younger than me, was the pride of our family, having graduated from a prestigious college. She had just married her longtime colleague. You managed to get married, but Hannah is still. As soon as my parents sighed, Mary firmly spoke up. I am me, and Hannah is Hannah. If she wants to get married, that's different, but marriage is supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime decision. You shouldn't pressure her into it. Faced with their exemplary Mary's logic, my parents fell silent, looking down. Hannah, there's a sale going on. Let's go shopping. Mary pulled me out of the house. I followed her suggestion and we headed to a nearby shopping mall. Thanks, Mary. I know I should just get married and put everyone's minds at ease, but marriage isn't something to rush into. The idea that you can't be happy unless you're married is outdated. You should live your life the way you want. Leave the grandkids and stuff to me. Mary said this with a big smile. Of course, if you want to get married, I can introduce you to some great people from my workplace. You're getting prettier every year, Hannah. You'll find someone wonderful in no time. Since breaking up with him, I've spent more time on myself, which seems to have paid off as people say I look younger than my age. I was aware of it myself, too. Getting a direct compliment from a family member made me blush and grin. Mary and I had our fair share of clashes growing up, but as adults, she understands me better than most friends. Her affection as my sister shines through in her words and actions, making her all the more adorable. After finishing our shopping, we took a break in a corner of the food court while she went to the restroom. Hey, isn't that Hannah? A voice came from above. I knew who it was without even looking. Even after 10 years of not seeing him, the trauma lingered. There was no way I could forget. Tyler. My ex-boyfriend stood there. He looked a bit heavier than before. Sunglasses and a cap with a brand logo. Gaudy gold accessories gleaming on his fingers and collar. A bulky watch on his wrist. The stylish aura he once had was nowhere to be seen. He now reeked of a wealthy old man. Long time no see. Still working as a nurse? He casually sat down in front of me. Ugh. How can he act so nonchalant towards an ex-girlfriend he dumped? Feeling disgusted, I looked away. I'm fine, thanks. I am not alone here, so could you leave? What? Did you get married? No, but I guess so. Someone who can't do housework and dresses so dreadfully couldn't possibly get married. His snide remark made me angry, but reacting to him was a waste of time. I decided to ignore him. But my indifference seemed to irritate him, and his voice grew louder. Dirty, hard, and low-paying. You're still single because you're stuck in such a terrible job. Maybe if you had better looks, things would be different. I'm a CEO now. I felt the eyes of other customers and staff on us as he continued his rant. At your age, you must be the office queen bee. Oh, poor you, left behind. Unable to endure the stares and his arrogance, I was about to leave a message for my sister and walk away. Just then. That's quite a rude thing to say. A voice as cold as ice cut through. My sister stood behind him, smiling quietly. Her eyes, however, were not smiling. Huh? Who are you? Hello, I'm her sister. He sneered and turned his gaze back to me. What? You have a sister? Spending your day off shopping with your sister, don't you have any friends? That's sad. I invited her. Hannah has excellent taste, so it's fun shopping with her. Yeah, right. Look at her. She's plain and lacks any appeal. No wonder she's been left behind. Pointing at my clothes. I was wearing trendy muted colors, appropriate for my age and not too revealing. Yet, his exaggerated size only made my irritation grow. You're unattractive, have no taste, and can't even do your job properly. That's why you can't quit. You must enjoy bossing around younger colleagues as the office queen bee. I had reached my limit. Being publicly humiliated with lies made me want to expose his past deeds. Just then, Mary slammed her hand on the table. That's enough. Your attitude towards Hannah is way out of line. What? What's wrong with telling the truth? The truth? Are you saying everything you've been telling her is true? Yes. Don't you know who I am? He took out a flashy gold business card holder and handed a card to Mary with a careless attitude. Thanks. Since we're at it, here's my card too. Without even glancing at it, he dropped her card on the floor and stepped on it. What are you doing? Leave it. Mary stopped me as I was about to shout. She smiled, looking at his card. Well. I know this company name very well. Excuse me, but has your wife been diagnosed with a disease? What? No, she's perfectly healthy. Is that so? Do you have a grown-up daughter, then? No. What are you getting at? That's strange. Things don't add up. I could see the frustration in his face as he kicked the table leg. What are you trying to say? Well, you said you were only telling the truth, but have you seen Hannah recently? She's been working as an OB/GYN nurse for the past few years. What? A murmur rose from the people around us. Of course. It became evident that everything he had said was a lie. How can you call her an office queen bee or say she can't do her job without even knowing where she works? I could feel the stares directed at him. Sure, Hannah is single and works as a nurse, but you're not a close friend of hers. You have no right to call her an old maid or anything like that. His face turned beet red. Shut up. I'm done here. This is ridiculous. He stood up roughly and started to leave. Am I going to let this go, just like before? No, I'd regret it. I instinctively blocked his way. What do you want? Apologize. For then and for now. You can't just say all these hurtful things and walk away. Why should I apologize to you? Move aside. He gestured dismissively with his chin. I didn't want to back down and be left to cry again. I was frustrated and unsure while I bit my lip, but then felt Mary's reassuring hand on my shoulder. So, negotiations have failed? She pulled me aside. He snorted and started to walk away. At that moment, Mary began to play back his insults from a small voice recorder in her hand. In that case, should we proceed with this as evidence in court? She held up the voice recorder, still running. What? When did this happen? It just so happened to be in my bag today. When I came back from the restroom, I saw Hannah being harassed, so I couldn't help but intervene. Occupational hazard, maybe. What? I'm a lawyer. What? Tyler hurriedly picked up the business card with a pale face. He glanced between the card and my sister's face, sweating profusely. A lawyer. Yes. By the way, what you said to Hannah constitutes defamation and slander. I have proof on a recorder, and given that this happened in public, we have plenty of witnesses. With a firm demeanor, Mary looked around and smiled warmly. If anyone here is willing to cooperate, please come forward. Thank you. Now then. Tyler glared at Mary, who turned to face him. Try it if you can. My company has its own legal counsel. To Tyler's loud bluster, Mary quietly asked. Are you talking about your lawyer, James? How do you know that name? You gave me your card, remember? I'm quite familiar with him. After all, your company's legal counsel is my husband. What? In disbelief, his mouth hung open. Although I'd only met Mary's husband a few times, he seemed very serious and, above all, it was clear that he treasured her, which reassured me. Just so you know, even though he is your company's legal counsel, if the trust with the client is broken, the contract can be terminated. Considering the nature of this case, if I were in his shoes. At her meaningful smile, Tyler turned pale. My sister continued calmly. By the way, don't even think about trying to bribe my husband with money or anything like that. He's not the type to be swayed by such things. Hit right on target, Tyler gasped like a fish out of water, then, unable to bear it any longer, ran away. Applause erupted around us from nowhere. Dazed by the unprecedented showdown, I watched as Mary swiftly gathered witnesses. Let's go home, Hannah, she said, snapping me out of my trance. As we left the shopping mall, Mary shyly said to me, I hope this repays my debt to you. According to her, she was able to attend university and become a lawyer because I went to nursing school and started working right away. Saving money for her. Indeed, our family wasn't well off, and I did want to help Mary, who was dedicated to her studies, by getting a quick and affordable license and starting work soon. But I never mentioned this, and, though I might have been a bit envious of her college life, still, you didn't have to worry about that. Anyway, just trust me, Hannah. I couldn't stand letting this slide. Why did you go so far? Because he treated you terribly. It's unforgivable. Seeing my sister so angry on my behalf made me smile. In the past, no matter how much I was hurt, I would have ignored it, thinking it didn't matter. But now, it's different. With a strong ally by my side, I resolved to fight back. So, what happened next? Formally sued, Tyler and his wife, the company's CEO's wife, offered a settlement. We were prepared to go to court, but it seemed, just as Mary said, their legal counsel resigned due to the scandal initiated by the CEO. Given that it was a public defamation and slander case, the CEO's wife was deeply embarrassed. Moreover, while reviewing the recorder's contents, my past relationship with Tyler was revealed. His awful nature was exposed after 10 years, and including the hush money, we received a higher than usual settlement. After that, Tyler and his wife got divorced. For his wife, having her pride shattered meant there was no longer any reason to stay with him. Originally, he gained his flashy CEO position by marrying the company's CEO's daughter and becoming their adopted son. After the divorce, losing her support caused his company to quickly go bankrupt. Since he didn't graduate from college and had a high-profile marriage with the CEO's daughter, his education level was listed as college dropout. Moreover, rumors had already spread within the industry, making it difficult for him to find another job, leading to a tough life of unemployment. On the other hand, I took the settlement money, moved to a different town, and am now living a peaceful life. Hannah. A cheerful voice called my name with a crinkled smile. It was Chris, a former patient I met at the hospital where I worked. He's very kind and matches his pace to mine. He's not in a hurry to get married and always expresses how happy he is just being with me, frequently showing his affection. I might have forgotten how comforting and happy it is to be cherished by someone. Both my work and personal life are fulfilling. And now that my trauma has been overcome, I feel that in the near future, I'll find new happiness with this man.